All right. Welcome to FatBeats, and this is November Hip Hop History Month. And so what we've put together for you all right now is a roundtable discussion of some of hip hop's elites that played a big part in FatBeats' come up in the 90s and where we are to today. So let me start introducing everyone. To my left, all the way to the left, is my man Jay Rawls. You know what I'm saying? Was half of the group Lone Catalyst coming up, super producer, done a ton of stuff, and also a educator at Ohio State University. Welcome, Jay Rawls.
What up?
Yeah. Then next to him is my man, Mr. Walt, the most opinionated voice in hip-hop. Also makes up half of the Beatminerz production squad. And sitting diagonally across from him is the other half, Evil Dee, DJ Evil Dee in the place, who are extraordinary producers, top 5 producers when you talk about people that are dope and also monumental within the culture. So shout out to the Beatminerz, and I believe you guys are celebrating, 30th anniversary this year of Smith & Wesson's The Shining, right?
Yeah. But I'm only here because I got caught stealing the FatBeats in the 90s.
That's Evil Dee's line.
Hey, he taught me how to steal.
That's right.
Yeah. To my right is my man, my mellow Ill Bill, who's also in the group Nonfiction with me, and also part of Heavy Metal Kings, part of La Coca Nostra, but obviously has his solo career. And Ill Bill also used to work at FatBeats back in the day. So that's the main reason why he's here.
He's the one who caught me stealing.
And then last but not least, by any means, another educator doing both high school and university level education is Queen Herawin from the Juggernauts.
Let's go.
Whose brother, Breeze Bruin, actually used to work at FatBeats as well. And everyone here played such a significant role within the FatBeats culture, whether working at the store or whether artists that we built with and distributed their music throughout the years. It's all family here, and here we are. FatBeats is now celebrating 31 years of being in existence, and here we are still breaking bread with the same people we came up with, and that's not something that a lot of people can do, especially when you talk about business and friendship, and we're still working with the same people we did 30 something years ago. So thank all y'all for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Insert applause right here, everyone. Right. Yeah.
Yay.
So I'm DJ Eclipse for those listening. I've been with FatBeats pretty much since day one, and managed the stores back in the day, and then have since gone on to now be a part of just FatBeats overall. I'm kind of like the safety net there for questions and things that come about. Shout out to the new regime at FatBeats. We have a lot of new dope people involved at the company, and also we have new owners. We have Rostrum Records, who bought FatBeats 2 years ago and have put a lot of financial support into the company and helping rebrand it, as well as bringing in a lot of dope new people to help us have new departments, which we never really had before. It was always kind of like that indie mind state where it was like 5 of us and you did everything, but nowadays we actually have more personnel to help do different things, and so we're seeing the outcome of that, so shout out to Rostrum and the whole FatBeats team. So that's your panel for today, and it is Hip Hop History Month, so we want to get into some hip hop history, and obviously, of course, the FatBeats history. So let me just start by saying shout out to Joe Abajian, who is the primary owner who started FatBeats back in '94. Both FatBeats and Ill Bill share the same birthday, July 14th. So July 14th,
I had it first.
Yeah. You definitely had it first. So July 14th, Joe Abajian opened up this small basement store at 323 East 9th Street. I was working at Wild Pitch Records at the time. I remember getting a fax that showed this like B-boy character, and it had all this like graffiti text on it, and it was just like, come down to FatBeats grand opening, and I looked at it and I was like, all right, this looks interesting. And actually I was the national director of retail promotion at the time at Wild Pitch. So it was also my job to go and check out new stores. So I grabbed Search, who was working at the store at the label at the time, and we went down to check this out. And I walked down this grimy staircase, which you got to hold on to the handrail because otherwise you'll fall and break your ass. We walk down the staircase. We go through the door, and Joe's like b-boying right there on the floor. There's a DJ cutting up records, and the records aren't even on the wall yet. There's still people actually painting graffiti on the walls, and like whatever records were in there were kind of like on the floor, leaned up against the wall, across the bottom. And you just walked in, and as soon as you walked in, you just felt the vibe. And it was just like, yo, like, all right. Because as everyone in here knows, there's a ton of dope record stores that are in New York. Mr. Walt actually working at one of them, Music Factory in Queens. There's also Rock and Soul. There was Beat Street. There was several music factories. There was so much dope stuff, but there was never a spot that was strictly hip hop. All of these locations carry other genres of music. They also, some of them even carried, utilities. You know what I'm saying? Like, Beat Street had, home washing machines and all. You know what I'm saying? So it was like there was just different things. And so you walked into FatBeats and you just felt that this was a home where you could just chill for hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So that was my first time meeting Joe. Shortly after that meeting, actually. Within a year's time, Wild Pitch ended up closing, and then Joe asked me to come help him out on the weekends, and I just never left. So, but through that course of time, we went from seeing the scene in '94 was still very strong when you talk about on a mainstream level of hip hop. You still had all these, you had Nas, Biggie, Jay-Z, Wu, all these groups that was so very relevant at the time. But then within a year's time, you started to see things started to get really watered down, and things started to get that, what we call that shiny suit era, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of the stuff that like Bad Boy was doing, they were pumping a lot of money into the videos, and like it became more of how you looked more than how you sounded. Right. And around that time, FatBeats was already a year old, and that was really, I think, when FatBeats between 95 and 96 really got into establishing itself as not just a dope store, but the intent of helping people put out their own music. Because at that point, everyone, and I know, with Bill, like you guys were looking to get deals at that time. Like back in like 94, 95, it was all about wanting to get signed to a label, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, FatBeats was like, forget going to labels.
Especially in New York specifically.
Yeah.
Right,
specifically in New York, because other places, they were already a little bit ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Bay Area, just everywhere but New York. Yeah. But that with FatBeats, it finally, that was when that door opened up, where artists stopped relying on that, on the major label machine. It was like, oh, wow, we could actually do this ourselves. There's like-minded people that will allow us to do crazy shit that the major labels would never allow us to do.
Right.
The type of shit we were talking on those records.
Yep.
No fucking way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We experienced that.
Yeah.
Specifically in the nonfiction.
Yep.
On Geffen. Mm-hmm. Ended up putting out a bunch of music that Geffen paid for through FatBeats.
Right.
On vinyl.
Yep. Yeah, all those first early singles nonfiction put out were basically funded. The recordings were funded from our deal with Geffen, but never went anywhere with Geffen because of the whole, like you said, like they're just not understanding the type of music that we were making. And so we just, used FatBeats as a lane to release those records independently.
And if we didn't have FatBeats, those songs probably would have never came out.
Right.
It would have probably it was just right place, right time.
Sure.
The label understood.
Sure.
Geffen meaning.
Yep.
They understood the value in like
building it up.
Like an incubator system before that word was even applied to music.
Sure, absolutely. And there was always independent releases, since day one in hip hop. Everything, there was always independent releases, but there was never really an independent scene as a whole. And I think that's what FatBeats actually helped create, was they became the hub and the battery for getting artists to stop waiting for deals and like start releasing stuff independently and then just doing things yourself. So that's kind of like the setup for where we are at now. Through the course of years, FatBeats opened up multiple stores, distribution company in 96. 96 was really when everything kind of took off. So I just want to kind of start back about those mid 90s years and kind of like, how things were looking. Evil Dee and Mr. Walt, this is where, you guys were very heavy, 95, just again, like Smith & Wesson, The Shining, Black Moon, Enter the Stage was, before that.
Right.
Yeah. And then, the other albums that followed from the Boot Camp Clique, that you guys had production on as well. So let's just kind of start with that era, what you guys were doing and how the scene was then.
It was a different vibe completely. Like the whole industry was different, and the vibe was the music was different. The vibe was different. We had musical outlets like Stretch and Bob.
Mm-hmm.
We had the halftime show. We had who else? Mayhem and
Right.
We had all different type of shows that we can go to
Right.
to play our music. And on a retail spot, we had FatBeats.
Sure.
FatBeats always showed us love, and it was a whole different vibe.
Yeah.
It was a whole different vibe.
Like with the the way the 90s was, it was like I looked at it more as you had the polished and you had the unpolished.
Right.
And we definitely wasn't the polished. And like what FatBeats did was FatBeats said, look, check this out. We see what's going on here, and we see a need for the unpolished to be represented.
Right.
Sure.
And the good thing with FatBeats was it was a store that concentrated on records, concentrated on hip hop.
Right.
It wasn't a store that we sell gold chains in the front.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
and it was dope because and then y'all also became a distribution.
Yeah.
Which really helped out a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because with the nervous duck down thing, y'all helped both labels.
Right.
And that played a good part.
And then when me and E decided to do something else like Shades of Brooklyn,
Yeah.
Right.
you guys helped us out with that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's so funny. It's a little side story. I was just telling Riz, we were talking about DJ Technician, how dope he is. And not too long ago, I was riding around in the car listening to Rock the Bells, and he was doing his mix, and he played the instrumental, The Changes. And I was just like, who else is gonna play this in 2025?
Right,
you know what I'm saying? Like
right.
it's like you can tell who's from that cloth of where we came from and cares about those type of records. And dope is dope. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So
right.
this little sidebar there. And then Queen Herawin, with yourself, you were the younger of the generation. Your group.
No disrespect, guys.
Get a little closer.
Yes,
to that. So
indeed.
So and then now with the Juggernauts, it's not just a crew; they're an actual family, brother and sister group. And we saw you last on the scene, but obviously we saw Breeze and Kev Fever, aka Buddy Slim, first. And actually, the Juggernauts was also one of our early releases, courtesy of Fondle Records. When that debut album dropped, it was like that was a big thing for us. I think we might have done 500 records at that time, and that was probably like the biggest number we've done. At that, everything might have been like 300 before that, and then that was 500, and it was just like again, the Juggernauts were a huge part of the movement of FatBeats, of the indie culture, of the independent distribution thing that we were trying to build. Now, for you, during this era, like, what was your part and what were you doing then when these guys were putting out the record?
Yeah, shout out to those guys. They really both wanted to be here today.
Yeah.
Breeze, Kev, I mean, they were the foundation for me being here now, which is why I'll always pay homage.
Sure.
So I was just privy to watching them in the studio. I tagged along. I was really the little sister. Right. And so there were days they'd be in Chungking, they'd be in Calliope. And when I could get there and be there with them, I was there. So I was just fascinated by the process. I was a fan, not just their sister.
Right.
And I was seeing how they were laying down the foundation for that indie movement.
Right.
And eventually they were like, okay, she's around enough. We can't shake her, you know. But I was also picking up skill sets from them.
Absolutely.
Right? Seeing production, beats made, you know, lyrics and notebooks and, you know. But I would often tell the story like I could not be part. It wasn't just like, oh, because you're family. Mm-hmm. It was like, your verse is not ready yet.
Right.
And I was the youngest. So they were also concerned about the age bracket and stuff like that. But
Right.
I have real moments of being in FatBeats. I mean, there was that tape, you know, you guys pushed out, circulated recently. I'm like, boy, that's a lot of hair. Like the afro, I was like, felt like it was just a ball of hair moving. But, you know, those were critical moments for me, just being part of that experience with them. And like you said, it was a feeling. Mm-hmm. And the staircase, it's always wild, but I feel like anyone who knows FatBeats, there's a relationship with the staircase.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every store.
Every store. For me, it was the going up, not the going down.
Right,
it was the going
right.
up. But it was still creepy, and you just knew once you got to the top, it was just going to be this open world of hip hop and community and beauty. And you'd hear music, you might bump into the Evil Dees, you know, the Mr. Waltz. Mm-hmm. So it was a feeling. And I was just blessed to come up in it in such a space where I was fan and participant.
Absolutely. And I think that says it all right there, because we're all fans of it. And I think that's what makes us still relevant, as well as the FatBeats brand, is because, you know, we were such fans of it. And specifically with FatBeats, we were all participants in the culture. You know, I mean, almost everyone that worked at the store was an MC, DJ, producer, b-boy, graph writer. You know,
I thought that was a requirement.
I did too.
It was.
Even in LA,
It was.
like LA, the LA store, everywhere, everybody.
That's what Joe wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just made sense. It was like, you know, we were building something together, because as Walt mentioned, you know, with Stretch and Bob, they also played a huge part in helping promote FatBeats. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, Joe was going out to like Rocksteady anniversaries and passing out stickers, and that was probably 50% of the promotion. The other 50% was Stretch and Bob shouting us out every single week, saying, if you like what you hear, go down to FatBeats.
That's what brought me to the store.
Yeah.
See? Yeah, exactly. And now, for J. Rawls, for you, because you're the only one here that was outside of New York.
That's what I was just looking at.
So,
like, oh man.
Yeah. So what was your experience in this during this era, in like finding out about FatBeats, but also like what you were doing during then with the Lone Catalyst and all that?
For us, you know, so I'm from Ohio. We you know, New York is like and like Bill said, like people, like I remember the what was Mad Skill's crew?
Super
Friends.
Yeah.
I remember getting a 12-inch from them. Like, wait, what label are they? They're not on a major.
Right.
Like, hold up, really? Right. And so it was this idea of, wait, maybe you can do this yourselves, right? And so once I did the you know, the brown skin lady on the Black Star, like it kind of
applause.
Well, it opened up like crazy doors, and it was like, yo. So I'm gonna throw a name on y'all. Y'all gonna be like, whoa. Bud's Distribution.
Sounds fun.
Right? So Bud's like gave Lone Catalyst, gave us a little, you know, situation. 300. We weren't at the 500 yet.
Yeah.
I mean, step your game up.
You know what I'm saying? We had 300. Right?
Yeah.
And FatBeats took some, and that for us was like, yo, that was almost like being there. And so like coming to New York, dealing with that staircase and getting up there and seeing the culture, never knowing who you're going to bump into.
Yes.
Like that became like, when you think of like I could probably talk right now to Copyright or, you know, Camus, rest in peace, or Blueprint. Like the idea was to press them up and then get them over to Eclipse and see how many he could take, you know, or later J57, like that kind of thing. It's like, yo, let's press them up.
Not to interrupt you, but it popped something popping into my head. I remember when Paul Rosenberg came into FatBeats with Eminem's 12-inch and was like, excuse me, kind sirs, would you please take this record?
That's how it was.
Hopefully somebody might like it.
That's how it was.
Yeah, Paul came in with M's record.
That's crazy.
So that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's exactly, and that's exactly the feeling. Like you knew you would get a chance because the people that were there were in the culture.
Right.
Yes.
Right. That's the difference between a lot of the other stores. Like they on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
You know, you take it in, like you give it to Eclipse, he likes it, he might play it out. Like that's different. Yeah. So that was the feel. So for us coming from not being in New York, that's how we saw FatBeats, as this opportunity. It's almost like instead of getting a deal, that was your deal.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
I get it to FatBeats. And then here's the thing. You got the store in, LA, later Amsterdam, Tokyo. Like now you're like, your records are everywhere.
Yeah, you're represented. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and that's also, it's interesting because now in 2025, there's more of a do-it-yourself mentality with people releasing records where they're kind of bypassing distribution and they're just doing things strictly through their website, which obviously they're reaching directly to their core fans, so they're making the most money doing it that way. But there is something to be said about losing that coverage in all regions. There's a lot of people that, if your site's based here in the States, people from Europe might not want to purchase it because of credit card transactions and shipping transactions, stuff like that. So there is still something to be said about, getting your records distributed in addition to what you're doing on the site. So that way you're getting coverage and you can find your records still in stores that are across the world. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that.
And also, if you're starting from scratch, you need some kind of hub, something like FatBeats to plug in.
Sure.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's going to take a while before you get to the point where you could actually move units on your own site.
Sure.
Exactly.
Sure. Absolutely.
That's just what it is.
Yeah, for sure. The one thing too that's different now than then was we were all in the store working. So when you came in, you were getting the experience, not just the vibe of the store, but you were getting all professionals that work there to tell you what's hot and what's not. Which is a little bit different than nowadays, because nowadays we don't have the physical stores. We still have distribution in the website, but we're now just distributing to other stores, and hopefully they're doing their job of promoting these records and talking about them. So it's a little bit different. We're not able to have that same impact of being in front of your face and saying, "Oh, you like that? Pick up these 3 records too." You know what I'm saying? It's like, so that's kind of what's missing a little bit. That's why if you check our website, fatbeats.com, you can see we actually have there's a DJ Eclipse picks, there's a DJ Monster picks. We're trying to do as best as we can to give you that experience of, okay, this is what these guys like. This would have been what they told me if we walked into the store right now. Another thing too about the store back then was, we were very particular about what we took in. You were saying about. If you went to Beach Street, their wall was 3 times the size of our wall. You know what I'm saying? But there was a lot of stuff on the wall that I would be like, I wouldn't have carried that. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. So it's a gift and a curse, because obviously you have people that want their record in FatBeats, and we were like, not so much. So you had to deal with that. But we took pride in, we have this much space, and we want to make sure that we're able to have the best of what's out there to offer. Right. And so that's how we kind of displayed things. And even from the way things were on the wall, I mean, we had sections. And, when you first walked, now we're talking about the 6th Avenue location, which is the staircase up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now when we get to this level, you go up the staircase, you go into the door, you open up the door, and if you're looking straight at the wall, you're going to see the independent section. We wanted to make sure that was the first section you saw when you walked in. Then to the left was the album section, then to the right was the major label section. But the independent wall was probably 2/3 of the wall, and then everything else.
Was the wall.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the wall I went to.
That's the wall.
Right.
Sure, of course. And then in addition to that, because when everything first started, it was budget, so a lot of the releases were just plain white jackets.
Yeah.
You'd be lucky if you had a hype sticker on the record. So it's plain white jackets. So then we started doing the signs. We started making the handwritten signs, and we'd put them up there and be like, if it was, like a nonfiction record, it would be like nonfiction featuring members, Search, Ill Bill, Gore-Tex, Sabak, produced by Necro, Ill Bill's brother. It's like we gave you little bios on these things to give you things. So you didn't even have to ask us if you were intimidated. You could just look at this stuff and be like, oh, this looks like it's something that's going to be I want to get. And so we would put these things up there, and then we were also kind of, instead of doing everything alphabetical, we did it by affiliation. So if you saw a Black Moon record, maybe we had some other Beatminerz produced things right around it. If you saw a DITC record, then maybe other stuff that had other DITC members would be around those, stuff like that. So we always tried to just make it as easy as possible for the customer to buy according to what they might like. And that was the experience we wanted to give everyone. And now let's jump to Ill Bill, who was actually an employee at the store. And what were some of your experiences being an artist and working at the store and just seeing, like, you know, the day-to-day people coming in there?
It was a lot of different things, but just the day-to-day was a couple of y'all mentioned like how crazy it was. We never knew who would be there at any given day. And just like in one day, it could be 4 different genres of hip hop meeting each other for the first time, bugging out. Like Beats by the Pound could be in the store and with Q-Tip and Funk Flex. You know what I mean? And then they leave and LL comes up. You know what I mean? Like that. That's how crazy it was on any given day. But yeah, it was incredible. It was my favorite job that I've ever had. Like, you know, like as far as a job where you punch the clock. And like I mean, it was the last punch clock job I ever had as well. You know, but it was incredible. It was great. It was like, for me, I looked at FatBeats. I'm a music guy in general. Like, I just love music beyond hip hop. I listen to everything. And like what FatBeats reminded me of coming in the 90s was of the heavy metal scene, because I was listening to heavy metal a lot as a teenager. I was listening to hip hop even more, but I was listening to both, and I would compare both scenes. And what was interesting to me was how in the 80s, hair metal was really big. Y'all know about, you know, and basically Diddy and Bad Boy was hair metal.
Right.
And he's right.
That was hair metal of hip hop.
Right.
And so that was the correlation I made back then. I realized I understood it. And I was a little young for the metal revolution, but I was right on time for the hip hop revolution.
Right.
And I applied a lot of what I peeped from metal and hardcore punk. And what we were doing was the hardcore punk thrash metal, wild, like talking about the craziest, most revolutionary type stuff on the music and just pushing it. And that's where I was coming from. I was seeing both scenes, understanding it, and applying it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you know, along those lines, Herawin, the style of you know what you guys do yourself, solo, you know, Juggernauts as a crew, you know, you and Breeze are both very MC type of rhyming, you know what I'm saying? And
Absolutely.
And that goes back to what Bill was just saying about, you know, we didn't want to do something just to do it. It had to be who you were. And, you know, the whole indie scene was birthed out of lack of creation, you know, from the mainstream, you know what I'm saying? And so when you guys spit, it was like, this is crazy. Like, you know, we cared about that, you know what I mean?
And I think that idea of caring has been straight throughout all the years. There's been intentionality, even when you were like, yeah, we're picky. I even had to be like, so I have a new project. Would you maybe kindly consider listening to it, please? Because we knew, like, and we know it's just a standard of value.
Yeah.
Right? And so that sense of selectivity is what had people coming from all different spaces of hip hop, because it was really the mecca of it.
Right.
You knew you could get a range of that. You knew you'd get the feeling when you came in. So that selectivity is what was the standard and the stamp.
Yeah.
And if you were submitting something, it better be official. And so when you came into FatBeats, you knew that you could select just about anything, and it would be good music and quality music. And I think that's why the sustainability is what it is for the online platform, because of all those years of creating the foundation where people could walk in. There was a suggestion there, how you curated the space. I was listening to you. It's really curation.
Yeah,
how did you curate the space? So now when you go on and it's digital, even if you can't tell someone, get that album, just the fact that it's on the platform, you know it's good music.
Right. And obviously nowadays, you know, you're able to carry more because everything, the space is digital.
Sure.
You know, so you're able to do more. And if you go to fatbeats.com now, you know, you will see even more genres of music, you know, and hip hop on a whole has splintered into so many subgenres and everything. You know,
expansion.
So, exactly. So, you know, stuff is there. But I always say this about FatBeats, you know, when you think about labels or specifically distributors, when you think about distributors, most distributors are faceless. You know what I'm saying? They're just companies that get your music out there. You know, we deal with a lot of big ones, Alliance, All Media Supply. You know, there's a ton of distributors that we sell to, but they're just distributors. There's no real connection there. Right. There really isn't anyone else like a FatBeats when it comes to distribution that has a brand. Now you can compare it to a couple of labels, like you think like Def Jam, Loud Records, like they had a face to their label, and then Raucous, when they came around, like those.
To add on to what you're saying, though, it's because we're 30 years later and FatBeats survived. It's a lot of people tried,
sure,
they just didn't succeed, or they didn't last.
Sure, but even to the point of though, like there's labels that that was still huge, or still there's still. Like Warner Brothers, there's
but Warner
MCA.
Brothers then is not what Warner.
No,
you know what I mean.
Of course, it's not then now.
Even though FatBeats isn't exactly the same either, but it's still. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I'm saying like I don't feel like they're like who's going out to buy a Warner Brothers T-shirt or an MCA Records T-shirt. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's not the same. You might want to be signed. You might have wanted to be signed to them because they were an outlet to get your music out, or maybe they had a group signed that you correlated with. But it was never like a brand that you had to be on. I have to be on MCA. You had to be on Def Jam.
I always wanted a Def Jam jacket.
Absolutely.
I would have signed to Def Jam
for the jacket,
just for the jacket.
Yo.
That's what I'm saying. So FatBeats is like we've been, it's a brand. It's at this point it's just a brand, and the brand still means something very much so to me, and I know to everyone here. And it's like I always want to make sure that the brand is upkept to the most of what it always stood for. You know what I'm saying? And so and now we're expanding. We have more departments, like I mentioned. We're trying to do more things, but at the core of that is still authenticity, you know what I'm saying?
And that's a connection to the culture.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole thing.
That's what it is.
FatBeats was born from the culture.
Yes.
Correct.
A lot of the other people was just born to do what they do.
That part.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna throw this out there and see if anybody bites it.
Right.
FatBeats is like, nah, it gotta be hip hop. It gotta be a particular way.
Right.
Yeah. Like y'all wasn't just putting anything out.
For sure.
Y'all was putting out quality music.
Yeah.
Right.
Still are.
Sure.
FatBeats also gave a place for us to meet up. It gave us a place for us to get to know each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Because I knew Evil Dee before FatBeats.
Yeah, he's in the Who Got the Props video.
We knew each other. I knew Who Got the Props video. I know Black Moon before. You know what I mean? Like before Black Moon had a record deal.
Knew Black Moon when he was young.
I know Black Moon when I knew Black Moon when Buckshot was Kenyatta selling oil on the street, selling me books and incense.
Right.
Yeah.
Before Black Moon existed. So we all been around even before FatBeats, but FatBeats kind of brought us all together.
Yeah.
You know, it really
Yeah,
did.
because we see more of each other when the store was, because the store was basically a hangout.
Yes.
Without saying it's a hangout.
Sure, of course.
Because Eclipse will kick you out.
we would never kick you out, but there was a lot of people that had to get kicked out because it's not it's a hangout, but it's really not a hangout.
Right.
So there's
FatBeats was the only store that I would go into at like 3:00 and leave at 8.
Yeah.
Because it was like I would be in there and then I would find myself listening to records. Then we're all talking about something. Then I'm DJing and like it was the only store that was comfortable.
Imagine who tried to do that shouldn't have tried to do that.
Well, that
like stay for 5 hours.
Yeah.
Think about that. It happened every day.
But that's the thing with FatBeats. FatBeats was our barbershop.
Yes.
You know, you go to the barbershop and you talking, yo, what's up? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That's what FatBeats was. And my joke with FatBeats was I was like, yo, I try to get a job, but they won't hire me.
You know what though? All of that is just saying FatBeats was community.
Yes.
And I think that's the most important thing. That's why it survived. But that's the most important thing with anything that you do. You've got to create community.
Yes.
And that's why it's still here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's the difference.
Yeah, because without FatBeats, you'd never hear from me. Like on as far as podcasts, I don't even not interested.
Yeah.
But for FatBeats, all day.
That's dope.
Like I said, FatBeats is that brand. Like it's like, it's a quality brand.
Right.
And it's a brand that's not going nowhere.
Sure.
Not at all.
It's not going nowhere. Like other people came and left. Well, came and faded.
Right. Right.
FatBeats is still here.
Sure.
Like, look, like, just think about it. Bad Boy's not here no more. And not to diss them or anything, but they're finished.
You could. That's fill in the blank with 100 different companies.
Right.
100 different
Absolutely.
Even new artists. I mean, again, like, I understand that there's a market out there now that's not our scene. You know, the current mainstream music is not our scene. It's not, you know, totally different generation of kids. It speaks to them. But even with that, it's just like, will those artists that are out there now stand the test of time and be relevant 10 years from now, 15 years from now? You know, I mean, we were just talking off the mic about Rock the Bells cruise and just like the type of people that are showing up for these cruises, selling out the cruises, and it's artists from multiple generations that we all hold in high regard, you know, from the artists that came out in the 80s, you know, the 90s, and even some of the 2000s that just are all relevant still, that bring people out to see them. And it's such a great feeling to know that that's still going on there. And that's the same thing we try to do. It's like, even nowadays, again, it's like, you know, whatever we feel is dope is what you're going to see now on fatbeats.com, you know, and like, and everyone in here in this room has new music out that is available on fatbeats.com. Jay Rawls might be the busiest man in the room right now.
Definitely.
He dropped 3 albums. Shout out to Javadi Media. He produced 3 albums, with Quali, The Confidence of Knowing. Did an album with Solene. And just dropped the album with Nico Is. Yeah, so 3 full albums he produced, all dope.
I just sent y'all my new instrumental.
And he has a new instrumental album coming. You know what I'm saying? So
check his pockets.
so those releases you can find on fatbeats.com. Mr. Walt and Evil Dee, the Beatminerz, have Stifled Creativity, which is, you know, part of what we're talking about up here. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, and that's that album is out there right now. A lot of dope selections on there, and again, a good combination of established artists, newer artists, you know, which is what we're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? We're supposed to like, you know, keep, you know, you want to, there's no one older than us that shouldn't, you know, be able to be heard. You know what I'm saying? Like they, you know, we still play, as long as the records are dope, we still play their music, we still support their music, and at the same time, we have the newer generation, you know, that's coming up, and you want to make sure they get heard as well. And it all goes back to what we said about those standards, about you know, stuff we've lived from pretty much, you know, even if I wasn't there in the parks in the 70s in New York, you know what I'm saying, but I came up on that sound, the Flashes, the Furious Fives, the Crash Crews, Cold Crush, you know, all that. So there was that era that got me into hip hop, but then, you know, obviously we all saw the evolution of hip hop. And so we saw everything grow. And then to me, I always say the 90s to me was kind of like the pinnacle of the growth in terms of everything, in terms of lyricism, in terms of production. I feel like we saw the peak of it at that time frame, and everything since then, that's still the bar of like what you have to be as good as or better than in order to, you know, get my approval. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Michael Jordan.
Exactly. Like you have someone like that, you know, that did that, and so now it's like that's why he's still in arguments. Is it LeBron? Is it
as
Jordan?
A player and branding, and with the shoes.
Absolutely. Yep, sneakers too. Yeah. So it just goes back to, you know, just there's a quality level, you know, and so it's for me and for FatBeats, it's very much so about, we want to make sure we pick the best of what is out there to present to the public so they can trust the brand, and that's what it's all about. It's all about brands and trust. Queen Herawin has a new album out, which is extremely dope.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Not only would I not carry it in the store, I would play it on the radio. I would, you know, all that stuff. So
appreciate you.
You know, yeah. So it's great to see you. And this is probably, in my opinion, your best body of work to date.
I think so too, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we're talking about companies and communities and all of this. It's always about, or it should be about, evolution, expansion. So even as an artist, that I really take that as a genuine compliment coming from you, because you should get better.
Yeah.
Right? You should get better. That's the whole point. We grow to get better. Right? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and it was funny because when you all were talking about even just upstairs and who you'd meet, I think too, the camaraderie, like, yes, community, but provided opportunities for people to connect with each other. Like shout out to Seb, shout out to DJ Boo, shout out to B Money, who produced one of the tracks on the album. So it's like this sense of camaraderie also speaks to the expansion, because that's maybe you're connecting with people who you wouldn't have built relationships with, and that keeps FatBeats going too, like in an indirect and in a direct way as well. And it even spilled out to the streets. Breeze was telling me stories this morning. We were talking. He's like, yo, there were situations where outside of FatBeats, it's like, so you had upstairs and then it trickled back downstairs, and people were just there, whether it was a cipher or just people maybe trying to get other sales that they shouldn't have been trying to get and take advantage of. You know, I'm just saying it was such a hub. It was such a hub, and people knew. So that was the word. Like, if you wanted music, that's where you went.
Sure.
Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
One thing will always be guaranteed, though. Percy P would be out there with that radio.
He didn't know about this. I shouldn't have said that. Kept it to
Percy P. I thought he was a statue. Like, he was always there with that radio.
Percy P will be outside.
He wasn't the only one.
No, he wasn't.
Right. But
he was Moses.
Right.
He led the other ones to the promised land.
Absolutely.
He set it off.
You know what's funny? One day I came.
Then he followed.
Right.
Percy P was there. Then I came another day. It was like 4 other people, and Percy P was there.
No, it was shout out to Duo Live, aka Duo Die, who actually ran into like last week at a party. They were out there as well. There was a lot of people out there, and that's you know, it for me obviously it's the harder situation to deal with, because we would get nothing but complaints from people, customers coming into the store that was like, oh, like these guys out there trying to talk my ear off, sell me the record and all that. So I constantly would have to go downstairs and talk to these guys about it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't, you know, they should have the right to sell their stuff, just not right out front of our door.
Sure.
I would say that FatBeats and that scenario is what sparked 40 Deuce. People, yo, you want to buy my CD? Yo, you want to buy my CD? It started at FatBeats. Amongst other things, it started at FatBeats. But that was a New York thing that started at FatBeats.
You know how many people I used to tell, yo, just go upstairs and talk to Eclipse. He'll put it in the store.
Thanks.
Yo, dudes had their shit in the store and was still selling their shit in front of the store.
Sure.
Trust me,
Absolutely.
I know.
Yo, buy it out here. It's cheaper. Buy it from me.
Yo, I've had dudes when I come up, they was like, yo, E, I got you. No, I'm going upstairs. They got me.
But hold up. Out of all the stories for people selling stuff out front, and I think I mentioned this to Walt recently. He don't think he remembered. This is my greatest story. So one of the people that were out there selling stuff, Walt was one of the customers walking in that day.
Oh, no.
So the guy's like, so he gets Walt like, yo, you listen to hip hop? You know. He's like, yo, you ever heard of the boot camp clip? Boot camp click. I got and Walt's looking at him like, like, you know what I'm saying? So I was just like, yo, did he really do that?
I remember that.
You know what I'm saying? So,
And of course, when someone asks you, do you listen to hip hop? No. The answer is no.
Of course.
Fuck out of here.
I'm just heading into FatBeats because I just want pizza.
So now going back to new music or new releases, Bill, I know you're working on a new solo album.
Yes.
But also just recently, FatBeats has reissued different color variants of Nonfiction, The Future Is Now, and Ill Bill, The Hour of Reprisal.
Yes.
So those are available right now on fatbeats.com. And you're very, you know, one thing I like about you is that you're very particular about the packaging and the look of the product that you always put out. And you know, we always
Because of me, because I'm out of my mind.
Absolutely,
Because I love that. I love that part of it.
right.
Now, you got, I was going to say you got to see my record collection, but you got to see his record collection. You got to see his record collection, but I got a crazy record collection for that reason. I'm not even a DJ.
No,
I mean?
obviously, but you definitely care about collecting things. You're into, figures. You're into music, records, but just specifically.
To my wife's dismay.
Yeah, but specifically about just whenever you're involved in releasing something, you go above and beyond trying to make sure the packaging is monumental. And
we end up scrapping half of what we want to do. We end up not doing shit.
We end up scrapping half of it because then, it's like you also have to keep the cost in mind. It's like you want the stuff to be affordable to the public buying it. some of the stuff we come up with would be like a $70 price tag if we were to put it out. And it's like, all right, let's start taking this out. Let's start taking this out. But just the fact that like you care so much about what you're putting into this, and you're always thinking about it from the fans' perspective of like what they would buy because that's what you would want to buy.
That's right.
Yeah, and so that's just just let the people know that.
That's why I still do this.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's mad fun.
Now I want to talk to you about lyricism and quality, because based off of what we were just talking about with Herawin and how lyrical her and Breeze are, and sometimes could even be over people's heads lyrical. Especially your brother.
It's okay, Breeze. We love you. I tell them to get a dictionary.
We actually, within nonfiction, have had conversations specifically back in the day about like dumbing songs down. Like let's make a song that's not so
never works.
It's just so lyrical.
It never works out. It never works out when we've tried to do that. It's never good.
Because it's not you.
It's just not good. Yeah, it just doesn't work. And most of the time, nobody even gets to even hear shit like that. Right. But sometimes we fuck up, and it's but that's not what people want to hear in the catalog. Right. That's not what they're checking for. Yeah. It's the authentic, the most authentic shit is
Absolutely.
what people want.
Sure.
I want to say too, I think that's why hooks are really important, man. Because you may not get all the that, but and then you heard it though. Like, so whatever the hook is, that's the purpose of that. It can bring people back in and say, hey, let me play that verse again.
That's
Perhaps
why I call
I
it
should
a
go
hook.
back. Correct, right? So just how songs are even composed from a space of, you could kind of go out there with it, but then there's also things to kind of bring you back in, and there's a cadence with even that.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. J. Rawls.
Yo.
Let's talk about educating.
Oh man.
How long have you been doing that now?
Yo, I started as a 4th grade teacher in like 2000.
Okay.
Jeez. I'm old. Man. And I was teaching, man, but like I was keeping it a secret from my students because I thought it'd be a distraction, right? You thinking about kids and education, and they're gonna want to talk about music and hip hop and all this kind of stuff. And so I would like be in New York on the weekends, be at FatBeats doing what I'm doing, and be back in class on Monday in my shirt and tie, real low key. And my students kept looking at me and they was like, man, you hold something back. Something's up. I don't know what it is. And so, eventually I had to let them in. But the thing, what I learned was like when I let them know who I was authentically, and I let them know about the culture, and we started talking hip hop, and they talking about the Eclipse grinding, and I'm talking about Rakim Paid in Full, and we having conversations and comparing and contrasting, and it's like, wait a minute. We building them connections.
Right.
So now when I'm teaching them, they're more receptive. And that's what I started to realize. That's what got me into hip hop education, right? Like to have teachers to understand, like to bring the culture in.
Yeah.
Y'all know what it is. In schools, the first thing they tell you is don't be who you are. You can't wear that hat when you come in. Take that hoodie off.
Right.
Whatever your individual you is, get rid of that. And I started allowing it. Like I would get in trouble all the time, but you want to wear your hat. Be who you are. Right. What's your hat mean? Like what team is that? Why you like that? Tell me about the Mets. What's up with that? Or did it just match your hoodie? Or you really like, give me somebody on the Mets. Now we having a conversation about it, and the students are like, yo, I like him, and they started to relate to me because I cared about who they were.
Right. And
that's what hip hop is. We don't tell nobody to not be who you are. Be who you are. As long as you're dope, you're accepted, right? I rap. Okay, let me hear you. Oh, you're dope. But he's white. He's this. He's Indian. It don't matter. He's dope.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's all that matters, right? And that's the thing I think that gets missed. So I've been trying to push that in education, man. And so now I'm at Ohio State creating this hip hop studies minor. And it's one of the first in the country. And I'm super excited about it, man. We're gonna change this game, man.
He's also bringing me out to
me,
you. Like that.
We're doing the standards.
Yeah, we are. We do work together. We really do.
We work a lot together, but we're working on the standards for music educators to actually use to teach hip hop.
Dope.
For like what, K-12, right?
K-12.
Is that
K-12? Yeah,
K-12. And shout out Martha Diaz.
Shout out to Martha.
Yeah.
But so it's a lot of work going, man.
Absolutely. Now, Herawin.
Yes.
Segue to you're at 2 schools.
Yes, I am. I'm at Briarcliff. I probably shouldn't say that. Oh, that's where she at. Okay. I'm bringing her lunch this week.
Found her.
Found her finally. Yeah. They're really supportive though. It's somewhat of a new position there, but like Jay, I've been in education for 20 years. You know, easy.
And only 19.
Yeah, exactly. How did I do that? I started when I was a zygote. So shout out to Breeze and Kev, also educators in the Bronx. And so hip hop education is like, we are hip hop. So you walk in the room. Similarly, I would have students when I taught in the Bronx and also didn't want to say anything about it. And they'd look at me too and be like, they're so perceptive.
Yo, man.
And they're like, you do something else.
You're not just a teacher.
You're not just a teacher, right? And so they started to notice it. I actually had a job some years ago that I almost lost because one of the students, I shared with him, I'm like, he was into hip hop, and he heard the Lyricist Lounge Project. And he would, this was before I was actually a formal teacher. I was a teacher's assistant. And he'd come by the classroom and be like, yo, can you please just spit the verse? And I'm like, are you kidding me, man? I'm on the clock. 3 o'clock, brother, 3 o'clock. Right. So I spit the verse once or twice for him. And the principal at the time, not at my current school, they're amazing. And he was like, can you step into my office? I said, sure. What's going on? I'm just concerned about this student. Is there something going on? I'm like, what are you alluding to? I said, listen, when I leave here, I actually do other things. Right. I'm an artist. He knows the song. He's super excited about it. That's all this is he's a fan of the culture. Right. And that's why it's important to have administration who supports what you do and understands. Even if they don't understand the culture, they understand the value and the importance of the culture and that it's a connection tool to really relate and build with your students. And, you know, where I am now, I'm looking to put in place a hip hop writing course. And they already bit. They were like, yeah, we'll put it in the catalog. Cool, we're good to go. So they're super supportive. Some of the students, before they knew, they would be like, hey, Queen. And I was like, how do you know that's me? But that really is me. I'm like, these kids are so good. So Miss Cleo stuff. So there, and I'm also at Monroe College, which is now Monroe University. And I've taught hip hop education there as well. So look, it's everywhere, man. It's everywhere.
And this is something that we've all talked about 30, 40 years ago of how just think about the people like us that back then were teens or early 20s. You know, if people our age are listening to this now, in 30 years from now, these people are going to be in positions of power. And that's exactly you know, I mean, I couldn't tell you how many city officials I've seen at hip hop events, you know what I'm saying, like park jams and stuff like that are like singing along lyrics to like BDP or Rakim and stuff like that. So
absolutely,
you know, so it's definitely a better understanding of what we do and where we come from now in higher positions, which is great.
Yes, indeed.
Absolutely great. The Beatminerz, 95, you guys, you know, producing everything, not only just within your own crews, but just, you know, dope remixes for like the who's who of hip hop. Rest in peace to D'Angelo. I mean, those remixes were so incredible. Also, you know, a lot has changed since then. The sound has changed in the mainstream. Sampling is, you know, questionable nowadays with labels because no one wants to clear stuff and all that stuff. So how's the journey been from then to now with you guys with production and you know, getting tracks out there?
First of all, I'd like to say, after this last discussion of education in hip hop,
here you go.
I feel like the dumb idiot in the room. Where is my dunce cap, everybody?
Welcome to my stupid world.
Jay Rawls and Herawin are goddamn geniuses.
Yo,
We love
It's okay though. You have a son, Terrell, who's gonna go on to do better and bigger things than you.
But this guy goes to Playboy Cardi concerts. I don't understand. As far as for the production goes, I'm going to keep it 100% real.
Okay.
I'm still doing the same. I'm not afraid about sampling.
Okay.
I'm not, Jay Rawls would tell you we still continuously go beat shopping.
Dope.
Worldwide.
Yeah.
We still find the records. We chop the records up.
Yeah.
Now
Isn't it the best?
it's the greatest.
I love samples.
I have a saying. I have a saying.
What's the saying?
The bullshit starts after the beat leaves the machine.
Yeah.
Once the beat leaves the machine, that's when the bullshit starts. Creating the beat is amazing. Yo, making a beat is so incredible.
Yo.
And then when you give it out to this one, you give it out to that one, and they take it, and the rhymes are written, and blah, blah, blah. And then once the song is like maybe done,
That's the business.
that's when the bullshit starts.
When
The business comes, that's when the bullshit starts. So remember, when it comes out the machine, that's when the bullshit starts.
Yo, that's when I'm like, yo, Walt, take care of that, yo.
I'm big. Listen, I'm big brother. I'm 3 years older than him. Everything lays on Mr. Walt.
Yo, Walt, yo, take care of that.
Evil Dee has such an easy life.
I wish.
Leave it up to Walt. Let Walt handle it. Walt is the mean brother anyway.
No, he deals with the music. I deal with the touring and parties.
Right, he does. He takes all of that.
And the technology in the house.
Yeah, because all I need is a bunch of records and a beat machine. I'm good.
Somebody got to be grumpy.
Right, well, there you go.
I'm the grumpy one out of me and him.
Right. Right. But with him, it's he's the nerd of the Beatminerz.
Yeah.
I am not the nerd. I just need a beat machine that can get me by.
Right.
And I get me some records.
Yeah.
And then I'm good.
Right.
I'm okay. Oh, you got to get this plug in. You got to do this. You got to do that.
Like I'm the dude that like I'm like this. Like, yo, Herawin, I want to record you. Yo, I'm bringing the bag to your house.
I know they
which is the bag is the studio.
Right.
I'm coming to see you.
Gotcha.
All Walt gotta do is make the beat,
make the beat.
and give me the wave file.
Right. That's all.
You know what I'm saying? And then, of course I make beats too. But anyway, but like at the end of the day, man, it's just how we do. And it's the same as we did it back in the days, except now the samplers and everything are more modified.
Sure.
And I may chop the sample a little bit more so you don't know what it is.
Gotcha.
Because I like playing and all that, that's cool, but sampling is where it's at.
No, absolutely. The feeling.
Like,
the feeling
that
again.
Because in that sample, the bass player might have been drunk. Like anything could have happened to make that sample sound the way it sounds.
Right.
And plus, it's hip hop.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's hip. This is hip hop. Like I'm an asshole when it comes to like
Life.
Like, yeah, that too. But like when it comes to music, like I want my music, I want the raw, uncut.
Yeah.
I don't want the hey, put some sprinkles on. Nah. You know what I'm saying? And that's his fault because I learned from Walt. So that's his fault.
And just as we're all talking, I'm just thinking about just all the things that aside from music, we do. Evil Dee, #1 party rocker. Yep. Being on radio in the 90s, Hot 97, having outlets to help promote the things that we all love. Jay and Herawin with the education and bringing hip hop into the schools. Just there's so much love for the culture, and it's like, and again, we all just want to see things thrive. We want to see what we love continue on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Let's not downplay Eclipse, though. You know what I'm saying? This dude is also one of the nastiest DJs.
Yeah. First of all, he makes shit look so easy.
Yeah.
The way he
When
makes,
he's spinning.
everybody, when this man plays, watch him.
Yeah.
He glides on the fader. It's
Yeah.
so smooth. Him and Riz, it's just
easy.
Yo.
That's so true.
The illest thing is,
God.
I just did a party, right? And Eclipse was like, yo, your set was ill. Like, coming from him, I'm like,
That's big.
word? Like, everybody else, I'm like, yo, thanks, good looking out.
Right.
When Eclipse compliments you as a DJ, you're like,
But again, it's because it's almost like you're teaching while you're DJing. It's not even because because you're playing joints that only heads, not everything, but you throw in pieces that like, oh my God, he played that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and that's what made me want to DJ from day one, was wanting to expose music to people that might not have heard this. Right. And so when you're playing joint, exactly. And so you playing, you killed it so hard. I was trying to leave. I could not leave because every joint you kept playing, I was like, all right, 5 more minutes. And it was just like, yo, it was. That's what a DJ's job is. You know what I'm saying?
You did,
ladies and gentlemen.
You did that at Quality's party, man.
That's what we're talking about.
That's the party. That's the party. Yeah, you killed it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I stole Mr. Walt's style. Do not tell him.
Here we go.
I stole Mr. Walt's style.
And now let's not overlook Beatminerz Radio.
Right.
Yeah.
Which you guys have
right.
continuing on to not only play yourselves but bring on guest DJs all the time
Right,
and
yeah,
have you know.
right.
I mean, let's talk about that.
And really, Beatminerz Radio is the brainchild of Evil Dee. I never wanted to be involved. I didn't want to be a part of that shit.
Now, you know what it was?
But we're a family. We're the Dugard family.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, it's the brainchild of Evil Dee, and we just kept it going, and to this day, it's still there. It's still rocking. We play everything, but it has to. Earlier, you said Mr. Walt is the most opinionated.
Yes.
It has to. Mr. Walt has to like your record before we play it.
Yeah,
It's the same thing with Eclipse.
Yeah.
If Mr. Walt likes it, okay, I'll play it. Let's play it. All right, cool.
Right.
Let's go with it.
Yeah.
So we're doing that.
You know what's funny? Like, from making records to doing radio, it was always our thing to be like, instead of going, yo, that's whack, that sucks, that's this and that. I want something to sound like this. So instead of complaining,
right.
let me create it.
Exactly.
Right.
So that way, it's like, okay.
And we're
alternative.
students of the Mr. Magics, the Supreme Team.
Sure, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Special K and Teddy Tad and all. We're students of that.
Yeah.
So all we did was we just took what we learned and put it into that.
Yep, absolutely. Ill Bill. What's going on with you now, aside from finishing up this new solo album?
Getting ready to tour again with La Coca Nostra, 20th anniversary of La Coca Nostra,
Nice.
which is crazy because my daughter just turned 19. And
Same age as Heroin.
Yep.
And it's just remember,
Yearbook together. Yearbook pics.
I remember being on stage with La Coca for like our first or second show, and
Right.
they did when she was born. And we
Yeah.
was walking
Wow.
out.
Yeah.
So it's all connected. It's like, the timing is crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to tour next year for the first time since 2019. And kind of getting back into touring again because COVID really killed touring for everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm used to like 3-4 tours a year, like for 20 years straight.
Yeah.
And then like COVID happened. So
Right.
that's probably going to be the best thing, like, for people that haven't seen La Coca next year.
For sure.
Yeah, and new music too.
Absolutely. And if people want to find out more information, where do they catch you on socials?
Oh, come on, man. Just Google me, man.
Don't give me that.
You want me to tell you that my Instagram page is ILLB1LL?
Yes, please.
I just did.
All right, thank you. Queen Herawin. If people want to find out more information, where do they catch you?
Indeed, they can go to at the Queen Herawin, HERAWIN, because I got to be different, and or at the Juggernauts, either one.
No doubt.
Oh, and not for nothing, just put illbill.com or unclehowie.com, and that leads to all my social. It's like
Or go to Ill Bill and then ask him, and then
well, just ask me in person.
Yeah.
We all know each other.
Evil Dee.
DJ Evil Dee, everything. Twitter, X, Instagram, all that. And site-wise, beatminerzradio.com.
All right, Mr. Walt.
Same thing, beatminerzradio.com. And if you want to talk to Mr. Walt, at Beatminerz on everything.
All right. J. Rawls.
Yo, at JRawls82. That's the easiest way on IG. They hacked my X/Twitter or whatever.
Yeah, me
so
too.
that ain't me.
I'm done on that.
Yeah, I'm done on that. But yeah, Instagram at JRawls82.
All right. And you can always find me on Instagram at DJ Eclipse RSC. Shout out to the Rocksteady crew.
That's right.
And you can catch me and Riz every Sunday night on Shade 45. Rap is out of control from 10 to 12 Eastern Standard Time. Yeah. And you can find music from all these people in this room on FatBeats.com.
There you go.
Yes. Thank you all for tuning in, checking us out. And who knows? Maybe we'll come back and do another episode down the line.
There it is.
Fresh.
Fun
Good night.
times.
Peace.
Peace.
See ya.
Peace.
Peace.